Right now, as we speak, a new digital blueprint for our entire world is being drawn up. We're talking about major global organizations building a new framework, and it's all based on one single, really powerful idea: a digital identity for every single person on the planet. They think it could solve some of our biggest problems, but it also brings up some really big questions.
So it really comes down to this one question, doesn't it? Could a digital version of you, your whole identity, maybe even secured on a blockchain and accessed with your fingerprint, could that be the key to a better future? I mean, that's the revolutionary and, yeah, potentially risky idea we're going to dig into today.
The entire vision, this whole new digital world we're talking about, it all rests on one single thing. The core building block is your digital identity. And let's be super clear here. This isn't your social media profile we're talking about or your email login. A digital ID, the way groups like the World Bank see it, is a formal government-recognized proof of who you are. It's often tied to your biometrics, like a fingerprint or a facial scan. The whole point is for it to be the one universal master key that lets you do everything, from opening a bank account to getting government aid or even proving you own your land. Okay, so how does this actually work in the real world? Well, the International Monetary Fund has kind of boiled it down to this really simple three-step process. First, you identify the person who needs the help. Second, you verify they are who they say they are using that digital ID. And third, you pay them directly. It cuts out the middleman, it cuts out a lot of potential corruption. It's just a clean, direct way to get resources to the people who need them the most.
But this isn't just theory, right? This isn't just something on a whiteboard somewhere. Let's take a look at how this digital foundation is already being built right now and how it's starting to change real lives.
One of the biggest places you see this making a difference is in social safety nets. I mean, think about any crisis situation. During the recent global pandemic, for instance, some countries had these strong digital ID systems already in place. And guess what? They got emergency money to their citizens almost overnight. Meanwhile, other countries were stuck for months, just buried in paperwork and trying to figure out who was who. The IMF points out that these digital systems, when they're anchored by a real, verifiable ID, just make aid delivery faster, way more accurate, and a lot less likely to be hit by fraud.
Now, take a look at this number. Just one number on the screen, 43%. What do you think that represents? Well, according to the World Bank, that's the percentage of the agricultural workforce in developing countries that are women. And this is a group that a digital ID can empower in a huge way, often for the very first time. And this is where it gets really transformative, especially for farmers. In places like India and Nigeria, having a digital ID means a small-scale farmer can finally get the government subsidies they're supposed to get, for things like fertilizer, without that money getting lost somewhere along the way. Or think about Estonia, where a farmer can literally register their cow digitally and then use that cow, that verified asset, as collateral to get a loan and grow their farm. It's all about creating a formal economic identity for people who have pretty much been invisible to the system. So, we've seen how a digital ID can give power to an individual, but the vision, it does not stop there. Not even close. The same exact principles, digital identification, collecting data, are now being scaled up to reshape our most complex environments, our cities. This is where the G20 Global Smart Cities Alliance, which is spearheaded by the World Economic Forum, comes into play. They're working in cities all over the world, from London to Bogota to Melbourne. And the goal is to use the Internet of Things, which is basically just a huge network of connected sensors, cameras, and devices, to collect real-time data on, everything. Traffic flow, pollution levels, how much energy we're using, you name it. And this, right here, is the central dilemma of the smart city. It's a huge trade-off. The promise is this utopian vision of a city that's super efficient and safe. But the price for that utopia could be constant surveillance. The same data that can help ease traffic jams can also track your every move. The system that can catch a criminal can also be used to monitor a political dissident. It's a bargain with some pretty enormous consequences. So this brings us right to the heart of the matter, to the most critical question of all. Is this new digital architecture a tool for our empowerment, or is it a new framework for our control? Now, if you ask the organizations that are actually building this system, their position is really clear. They stress that the whole point of creating these global policies is to make sure the technology is used responsibly and ethically. Their ultimate goal, they say, is to build and maintain public trust. They argue that without that trust, the whole system just can't work. But, and this is a really big but, there's another completely different way to look at this.
Critics see all this centralized data not as a tool for freedom, but as the potential architecture for a, quote, new form of oppressive social and personal control. They're warning that creating a single, state-controlled digital ID could lead to things like social credit scores, being excluded from society if you don't comply, and a level of surveillance we've never seen before.
So you see the paradox here, right? It's a classic double-edged sword. This technology holds the key to unlocking so much human potential, but it could also be used to build a kind of digital prison. The same exact system that promises efficiency and access for everyone could also become a gatekeeper, deciding who gets to participate in society and who doesn't. It really all depends on who's holding the keys and what rules they write for using them. And look, this is not science fiction. This isn't some distant future. Right now, in cities and villages all across the globe, this new digital foundation for our society is being laid. It's kind of a quiet revolution, happening one digital block at a time, and its effects are going to touch every single part of our lives. Which leaves us with the ultimate question. As your life becomes more and more digital, and your personal data becomes the most valuable currency in the world, who do you trust to write the rules? Because the answer to that question, that's going to define not just the 21st century, but your future.